Okay, good evening, parents. Okay, I'm teacher Michael, and over with me I have teacher Carmen. So together we will be going through the P3 and P4 maths briefing. Okay, so let me share my screen first. Give me a minute. Okay, so for today's briefing, if you have any question, you can just type in the chat or in the Q&A section. Then teacher Carmen will help to answer that. Okay, so let's start with the briefing now. Okay, so basically for today, what we are covering will be on MOE syllabus overview, the assessment objective, common challenges, mistakes and errors students will face, the mind stretcher curriculum overview and some tips and advice. Okay, so let's start with the MOE syllabus overview. Okay. So for P3 and P4, actually they cover a lot of topics which serve as a foundation for P5 and P6. Okay. So for example, angles, fractions of sets. Okay. So these few topics, okay, in P5 and P6 they will cover again. But for P3 and P4, it's just the foundation, the basic knowledge. And for MOE syllabus, okay, they focus on the spiral approach. Okay, in which what it meant will be like, for example, whatever topic that they learn in P1 and P2, so P3 and P4, they will cover it again. That means they will build on. Okay, so like for example, in P1, they learn about numbers up to 100. Then P2, they will learn numbers up to 1,000. So P3, they will learn numbers up to 10,000. And P4, they will learn numbers up to 100,000 and so on. So they will just keep on building. Okay. And for some of the topics, okay, they will only be covered in P3 and P4. Then in P5 and 6, they will not be covered anymore. Like for example, length, mass, vectors and multiples, okay, nets, bar graph, pie chart, multiplication, and long division. So all these topics here, they are covered in P3 and P4. But in P5 and P6, they will not cover this topic again. That means you are expected to know them by the time you leave P4. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so basically these are some of the topics that's been covered from P1 to P6. And for the model method, okay, model method is one of the most frequent method that we use for solving the primary school maths problem. Okay, so actually P3 and P4 is a very good time for them to learn model method. Okay, because the question is not too difficult yet. And actually, last time my students, they are always very lazy to draw model. Okay, they are always asking me, why is it that I know how to solve a question and why do I have to draw model? Okay, so I will always tell them that, okay, by learning how to draw model, it will enable you to solve the more difficult questions when they come to P5 and P6. Okay, because for P5 and P6, some questions will be very, very difficult. And if they don't know how to draw model, they are not able to solve them. Okay, so for P3 and P4, it will be a very good time for them to practice on model drawing so that when they go to P5 and P6, they can use model drawing to solve most of the more difficult questions. Okay. Yeah, so I mentioned some of the things just now from here. This is the spiral curriculum from P3 to P4. That means in P3, they learn numbers up to 10,000. Then P4, they will learn up to 100,000. Okay. For P3, they will learn to solve two-step word problem. Then P4, they will learn to solve three-step word problems. Okay, so P4, they will start to learn factors and multiples. Then for fractions, okay, P3 will learn about proper fractions and equivalent fractions. Then they'll learn about fraction of a whole. They'll learn about addition and subtraction of fractions. Then for P4, they will learn about mixed number. They will learn about improper fractions. Then they learn about fractions of a set of objects. Okay. They will also learn addition and subtraction of fractions and solving two steps per problem involving fractions in P4. Then for decimal, okay, P3 don't really learn decimal. The only decimal that they encounter in P3 will be on the topic of money. Okay, so in the topic of money, they will learn how to do addition and subtraction of money up to 2 decimal places. Then in P4, they will learn about fractions, decimals, up to 3 decimal place. And they will also learn about the 4 operations. That means they will learn about how to do addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Then they have to solve word problems involving decimals up to 2 steps. Okay, so for assessment objective, okay, so normally in the exam paper, we will have 3 types of assessment objective, which is the AO1, AO2, and AO3. Okay, so AO1 type of questions, they will be the most straightforward. That means as long as they can recall multiplication facts, okay, or they can do some very simple form of addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division. Okay, then they will be considered as a AO1 question. Okay, so some examples are maybe, for example, if they are asked to perform like maybe 345 times 7. Okay, so if you see these kind of questions, this will be a AO1 kind of questions. Or maybe they will just give you a rectangle. Then maybe they give you a length and the breadth. After that, they ask you to find the area or find the area of this rectangle here. So this will be an example of a AO1 kind of questions. Then for AO2, okay, AO2 will be actually most of the work problems that you all find in the maths workbook. Okay, they will belong to the AO2 kind of questions. Okay, and over here you can see they mention about interpret information. Okay, for interpret information, what they mean is if let's say the student is able to read a graph, okay, because in P3 they will learn about bar graph, then in P4 they will learn about pie chart, they will learn about line graph, and also they will learn about tables. So as long as the student is able to interpret the information, that means they know how to read whether which item has the most value or which has the least value, okay, or know how to solve the basic word problem kind of questions, they will be under the AO2. Okay, and AO3 kind of questions will be referring to those questions that normally require higher order thinking. Okay, so those questions that need to make use of heuristics, they will normally belong to the AO3. Okay, like for example, for P3, P3, I think one good example will be, okay, those guess and check questions. Guess and check question will be belonging to AO3, okay, for P3. Okay. Okay, next part. Okay. So for P3 and P4, all those topics that they learn, okay, it doesn't mean that by the time they go to P5 and P6, they can just throw away everything. Because a lot of all these P3 and P4 topics, they will still be tested in the PSLE. Okay, so later on, I'll be showing you some of the questions that will still appear in PSLE. Okay, so this will be one of the example questions. This question come out in the year 2023. It's under booklet A, question 3. Okay, so this is a question on angle, and this angle is from P3. Okay, because in P3 they learn about angles that are greater than 90 degrees, angles that are smaller than 90 degrees. Okay, so this is a P6 questions, but they still test on P3 concepts. Okay, that means how many of the marked angles are smaller than 90 degrees. So from these questions here, we can see that there are actually two of them. So these two angles, they are smaller than 90 degrees. Okay. Okay. So this one, the answer will be number 2. Then another example. Okay. So this will be a P4 kind of questions. Okay. Because in P4, they learn from numbers up to 100,000. Okay. So this question actually come out in the year 2021, booklet A question 1. Okay. So they are asked to find out what is 60,000 plus 5,000 plus 400 plus 3. Okay. So actually, most of the P3 and P4 questions, they will come out in the paper 1. Okay, paper 1, that means the slightly more easier form of questions. Okay, so for this one, the answer will be option number 2 also, 65,403. Okay. So next, this question from 2021. Okay, same thing is a paper 1 question come out in question 2. It's a decimal for P4. Okay, so which digit is in the tens place? Okay, so in P4, actually in P3, they will learn place value also. But for P4, this is for decimal place value. Okay, that means the tens place will be this digit here, which is the digit 6. Okay, so another example, which number is the smallest? So over here, they are given 4 decimal numbers. And this is making use of the topic that you all learned in P4 for comparing and ordering decimals. Okay, that means the correct way to do it, okay, you just have to put the number in the table format, something like what I have done over here. And you can compare which of the decimal number is the smallest. Okay, so for this case, the smallest decimal number will be 0.102. Okay, next, this is finding the perpendicular line. Okay, perpendicular and parallel lines, these two, they are covered in P3. Okay, so for this question, which two lines are perpendicular to each other? That means to look for perpendicular line, they have to look for lines that are at right angle to one another. Okay. So for this question here, the one that is in right angle will be this line BC and this line here FG. Okay, so these two lines, they are in right angles. That means they are perpendicular to one another. Okay, next, for this question here, this is from the year 2021. Okay, arrange the fractions from the largest to the smallest. Okay, so in order to do these questions, you need to convert the fractions to their decimals first. Okay, and converting from fraction to decimals, this actually covered in P4, where they learn how to convert a fraction into their decimal. Okay. That means after converting the numbers to the decimal, okay, I will have 98 will be 1.125. Then 5/4 will be 1.25, and 1 and 1 9 will be 1.11, and so on. So after I convert the number to decimal, I can compare them easily. And then after that, I can order them from the largest to the smallest fractions. Okay, so this question here, this is on the subtraction of decimal. Okay, so subtraction of decimal, you learn it in your P4. Okay. Okay, I think I have someone asking how to convert decimal. Maybe I just demo a bit. Okay, like let's say for example, okay, let's say I just try to convert the fractions here to decimal. Okay, so if we have to convert the fractions to decimal, what we have to do is firstly the denominator. We try to convert them into either uh, tens, hundreds, or thousands. Okay, so for this case, this will be, okay, I'm trying to convert this to become 100. And in order to become 100, we know that we have to multiply 25. Okay, so 5 times 25 will be 125. Okay, so I think you all will know that if let's say I have 125 divided by 100, I will move my decimal point backwards 2 places. That means I will have a decimal 1.25. Okay. Yeah, so this is a very simple technique on how you convert from fraction to decimal. Okay, so your kids, when they come to P4, they will learn this method also. Okay, so this will be for subtraction of decimals. Same thing. This is what they learn in P4, but it came out in the PSLE in 2021. Okay. Okay, this is a question on symmetry. Symmetry also, they will learn it in P4. Okay, so same thing. This is a 2021 paper, and they are asked to name the squares with line of symmetry. Okay, so for this case here, the symmetry is, I believe there is one line of symmetry here, and this one there's another line of symmetry here. Okay, that means the square will be Q and R. Okay, so this is the topic that they will learn in P4. Okay, next, which line is parallel to AF? Okay, so this topic is from the parallel and perpendicular line, which they learn in P3. Okay, so they are asking for parallel to AF. AF will be this line here. Okay, so for this case, the line that is parallel will be this line, which is CD. Okay, so actually, how I see them will be something like this. That means I just look at this square. Okay, so the line actually passes from one corner of the square, which is F, to the other corner of the square, which is A. Then I just look for another line that is similar. So from here, I can see there's a square here also. Okay, and also the same line, it passed through the two corners of the square. So I will say that these two lines, they are parallel to one another. Okay, that means the line that is parallel to AF will be the line CD. That means it will be this answer here. Okay, so this they will learn in P3 on how to identify parallel and perpendicular lines. Okay, next, this will be for mixed number. Okay, mixed number, they learn it in P4. Okay, but this also make use of equivalent fractions also. So in the number line, what is the mixed number represented by A? Okay, so for this marking, okay, so because each marking represent 1/8, okay, let me try to. Okay, so you can see that total there is 8 marking. That means this is 1/8, 2/8, 3/8. This is 4/8. This is 5/8, 6/8, 7/8. Okay, so if each marking is 1/8, that means the one that's represented by A will be 1 and 5/8. Okay, so that's why we have the answer, which is number 4. Okay, next. Okay, this question come from 2020. Okay, arrange the distance from the shortest to the longest. Okay. So in P3, they will learn about measurements. They learn about kilometers and meters also. Okay, that means for this question, they will have to do conversion. Okay, and you can see they convert all to meters. After they have done the conversion to meters, then it's very easy for them to compare and order which is the shortest and which is the longest. Okay, yeah. The next one, 2020. This is a question on time. Time is what they learn in P3. Okay, so they have to find out how much longer is the music program than the sports program. Okay, so they need to know how to interpret this information here. And they can see that from music, it starts from 10:10 and it will end at 11:30. Okay, so for music, it will be about 1 hour and 20 minutes, I think. Okay, then for sports, okay, sports will start from 11:30 and it will end at 12:20. That means the sports is about 50 minutes. Okay, so after they get this information, they are supposed to subtract the two. Okay, that means they have music is 1 hour and 20 minutes and sports is 50 minutes. After that, they have to find the difference between the two of them. Okay, I think I saw one questions in the chat. Let me take a look. Okay. Okay, this one. Maybe I think I can let the parents try this question. This is a P3 question. But P3, they don't really do something so complicated. Okay, they learn about area and perimeter, but for this question, it's a bit more on visualizations. Okay, parents, do you want to try? Maybe I just give you a bit of time to see whether can you solve this question or not. Yeah, you can type the answer in the chat after you solve it. Okay. How is there any parents who managed to get this question? Okay, this come out in 2020 under the A. Okay, it's an MCQ question. Okay, this question is actually a visualization questions. Okay, so I have some answer 42. Okay, later let's take a look. Okay, so to solve this question, actually what you can do is you try to move the block. Okay, so maybe for this one, I try to move it all the way to the end, and this also I try to move it all the way to the end. Okay, so if I move, then it will look something like this. Okay, so I try to move the two box all the way to the end here. Then after that, I will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I will have 6 legs. Okay, and for the breath, okay, breath I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I will have 6 breath also. Okay. So for this part here, we know that the rectangular tile has a perimeter of 14 centimeter. Okay. So perimeter normally will consist of 2 length and 2 breadth. Okay. So 2 length and 2 breadth is 14 centimeter. That means 6 length and 6 breadth will be 14 times 3. Okay, which will give me 42 centimeter. Okay, that means I think I saw 2 answers from the parents. Okay, no, 3 answers. Okay, so all 3 answer 42. Yeah, correct. Okay. Yeah, so this is the method that I used just now. Okay, that means 2 length and 2 breadth is 14 centimeter. Then 6 length and 6 breadth will be 14 times 3. Okay, so this is a question on factors and multiples, which they learn in P4. Okay, so I think this question should be quite simple by the time when they reach P6. Okay, the common factors of 4 are common multiples of 4 and 6 that are smaller than 30. So the answer will be 12 and 24. Okay, so this will be another one on money, which they learn in P3. Okay, so Davy has $10. She spent 95 cents on a bun and 60 cents on the drink. So how much money does Davy have left? Okay, so the amount left will be $10 minus 95 cents minus 60 cents, which is $8.45. Okay, so this question from 2020 on measuring angles. This is from P4. P4, they will learn how to measure angles using the protractor. Okay, so for this case, they need to measure the angle PQR. Okay, and this question here, okay, this is making use of what they learned in P3, which is on bar graph, to answer these two questions, part A and part B. Okay, so I think I'll just show you the next page. I will not explain the solution. Okay, that means half of the files sold were yellow files. How many yellow files were there? Okay, so if you look at the solutions, the number of yellow files will be 150 plus 175 plus 25. Okay, so it's actually the addition of the blue, green, and red. Okay, because it says half of the file is yellow. So that means the blue, green, and red will be the other half. Okay, so the number of yellow files will be 35. Okay, then which color of files did shop A sell more than shop B? Okay, so if you compare shop A and shop B, okay, I think it's blue file because for blue file, shop A is 150, then shop B is 125. Okay, and the other one will be yellow file. Just now we calculated yellow file. I can't remember the number just now. I think it's 350. And for this case, the yellow file is only 75. Okay, so the answer for part B will be the blue file and the yellow file. Okay, next, this will be from 2019. Which of the following is the same as 50 kilogram, 80 gram? Okay, this is on the conversion of the measurements. That means you have to convert from kilogram to gram. Then you can get the answer. This is also what they learn in P3 and P4. Okay, so another one, express 9 and 1 out of 50 as a decimal. Okay, so you change the denominator to 100, and then after that you can convert it to decimal. Okay, so another one on area and perimeter from P4. So city has a rectangular piece of paper, 35 centimeter by 24.6 centimeter. She cut out as many squares as possible from the paper, and the side of each square was 5 centimeter. So what area of the square was left? Okay. So for this case here, if they cut out 5 centimeter, that means for this last bit of 24.4, they can only cut out 20 centimeter. Okay, there is a multiple of 5. So it will be left with 4.6 centimeter. Okay. So to find the area of the paper left, it will be 4.6 times 35, which is 161. Okay. Then to find the number of squares that City cut. Okay. So for the length, she can cut out 7 squares. And for the breadth, she can cut out 4 squares. So the total number of squares will be 7 times 4, which is 28. Okay, now let's look at some of the common pain points and challenges for P3 and P4. So for some of the common problems, okay, language, okay, we start to introduce the child to language of maths early. Okay, so we focus on the language of comparison with three or more subjects. Okay, like for example, we try to use things like more than, greater than, smaller than, and so on. Okay. Then also we introduce them to the concept of one units. Okay, because actually some students they don't have the concept of what is one unit when they are drawing the model. Okay. And also this will be more for P3 and P4, when to use a before and after model. Okay, so a before and after model will be used if, let's say, you are given an initial value of the quantity, then after that some change happen, whether is it an increase or decrease, and then you are given a final value. So for this case, we will draw a before and after model. That means we'll draw a before model for the initial value, then we'll draw a model for the final value. Okay. So splitting of units. Okay. So this splitting of units also, some students they have problem. And I think splitting of units most likely will be in P4. P3, I don't really remember a lot of splitting units type of questions. Okay, maybe in P4 they will be getting more of this kind of splitting of units problem. Okay, and moving from concrete units to representative units. Okay. Okay, so now we go into the skills required by students to effectively study and tackle the subjects. So some of the skills that they can master will be troubleshooting skill, okay, maths reasoning, checking for carelessness, avoiding carelessness, and mathematical proficiency. Okay, so these will be some of the skills that the student can master in order to be good at maths. Okay, and for some techniques, okay, try to do your working in shortcut and elegant methods. Okay, because I've seen some students, okay, when they show their working is all around the place. Okay, and it's very difficult for the teacher to track the working. Okay, that means for their presentation skills, okay, try to do your working step by step, okay, and not jump all around the place. Okay. So next technique, there is error analysis. Okay. Try to verbalize their thinking, okay, timely intervention, and overcoming maths anxiety. Okay, so these will be some of the techniques they can learn. Okay, so for our mind stretcher, so our worksheets consist of a few key components, which is the concept paper. That means normally when they are introduced to a new topic, okay, they will be doing the concept paper. Then after that, they will learn how to solve the problems that they learn in the problem solving component. Okay. Power code will be where they learn about the different heuristics on solving questions. Okay, like for example, guess and check. Okay, draw a diagram, assumption methods, and so on. Okay. Then trending questions will be some of the questions that are appearing in exam in the recent time. Okay. Premium cracker will be more for the high ability worksheets, okay, which will consist of some of the more tricky and challenging questions where the students can do. Okay. Then homework booster. Homework booster will be for the students to consolidate their learning. It will be done as their homework. And discovery zone will be more for P1, 2, and P3. Okay, so discovery zone will contain some of the fun activity or fun games for the student so that they can find learning of maths will be fun. Okay, so beside all these components, we also have hands-on experience. Then we have topical revisions and revision papers. Okay. So for progress tracking, we will have the student progress report, and also there is 2 checkpoint in a year, okay, which is the mid-year checkpoint, and one is the end of year checkpoint. Okay, so in a year there will be 2 checkpoint, and after the checkpoint, parents will be given a student progress report. Okay, I think later I have an example of how a progress report will look like. Then I can show you later. Okay. Yeah. Okay, these are some of the examples of the discovery zone. Okay. So this is for P1, but P3 they have discovery zone also. Okay, yes, this will be an example of the student progress report. So in this progress report, parents can actually see how your child perform according to the mind stretcher cohort. Okay, that means like let's say for this case, 10 percentile. 10 percentile is actually the lowest 10% of the cohort. That means if let's say your result is 43 and below, you are at the bottom 10. And if your result is 93 and above, you are at the top 10 of the cohort. So like for example, this child here, okay, this child get 81. Okay, so 81, that means this child is higher than the medium and lower than the 90 percentile. Okay, that means he is above the top 10%, but is above the average. That means this child is above average. Okay, and also in the student progress report, you can see all these topics here. Okay, so by looking at these topics, you will know which are the topics that your child has done well and which of the topics that your child will need more to work on. Okay, so okay, if you look at this part here, the B, M, and C, B is for basic kind of questions. Then M is for medium and C is for challenging questions. Okay, that means if we look at this example, we can see that okay, this child he scored 33 for medium. Okay. That means this child will need to work slightly more on the medium kind of questions in area and perimeter. Okay, so this will be an example of how you can read this progress report when you receive it. Okay, next are some advice for parents. Okay, so what can parents do to help? First thing, revise multiplication table. Okay, because in P3 they are learning multiplication table of 6, 7, 8, and 9. Okay, so learning your multiplication table and knowing them very well is very important because I always see students, they don't know how to do long division. And the reason why they don't know how to do long division is because they don't learn their multiplication table. Okay. So if they don't learn multiplication table, it's always very difficult for them to do their division problem. Okay. And develop number sense. Okay. That means for parents, okay, if you have a chance to, like, let's say, for example, you can try to talk to your child, like let's say, okay, let them carry their school bags, then ask them, how heavy do you think is the school bag? Is it 3 kilogram or is it 30 kilogram? Okay, because in P5 and P6 maths, sometimes PSLE also, they got questions that's relating to number sense. Okay, that means they will give you an example of a question, like for example, a door, and then they'll ask you how high do you think is a door? Is it 2 centimeter? Okay, is it 2 meter? Is it 20 centimeter or is it 20 meter? Okay, so it will be good to develop number sense when the child is young. Okay, then next thing will be inculcate productive disposition. Okay, I think I'll mention more about this one later. Okay, then visit supermarket and carry 1 kg and 5 kg. So this will be something like what I mentioned just now, that is develop the number sense. That means that a child have an idea how heavy is 1 kg and how heavy is 5 kg. Okay. Then next thing, distributed and interleave revision. That means when you revise, you will revise, like for example, topic 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then after that, you revise topic 2, 1, 3, 4, and so on. Okay. So you will practice questions on regular basis for different topic. Okay. Next thing, focus on conceptual understanding. Okay. Factual and procedural fluency. Okay. And ask questions to guide thinking, assumptions, and problem solving. Okay. So for ask questions to guide thinking, because I've seen sometimes parents when they teach their child, okay, they always tell their child the answer directly. So if you tell your child the answer directly, some of them they might not understand. So what is best to do is you try to ask them questions to guide the child to get the answer instead of giving them the answer correctly. Then this will help your child to understand and improve on their maths also. Okay, so next part. Okay, next, get the child to understand what they learn in school by spending time to run through with them whatever they learn and see why certain things are difficult for them. Okay. Then also you can help your child to understand the concept behind every topic by revising with them and making sure they do their corrections properly. Okay, so any question up to here so far? If you have any question, just type in the chat. So teacher Carmen and me, maybe we can just look at the chat and help to answer that. Okay. Okay, next thing, give positive reinforcement to give your child a sense of achievement. Okay, so whenever your child did something that is correct, okay, no matter how small is it, just give them some positive reinforcement. Like for example, you can just praise them, okay, so that they can have a sense of achievement. And next thing is avoid doing repetitive, meaningless work, okay, such as giving them piles and piles of assessment books. Okay, and you can help your child to learn maths every day in a relaxing and fun way. Okay, so some of the activities, like for example, if you go shopping, okay, you can get your child to calculate for you the total amount and the expected change that you can receive. Or if you go traveling out using in cars, bus, or MRT, you can ask your child to help you to read the time or to estimate the time of arrival. Okay, after that, they can do some conversion also on the timing to help them practice on the topic on time. Okay, so strengths of maths proficiency. Okay, so this one, just go through that. Okay, the first one is on conceptual understanding, which is the understanding of maths concepts, operations, and their relationships. Then the procedure fluency, skills in carrying out procedures. Okay, one example I can think of will be the long division. Yeah, because some students, they don't know how to do long division. Not only because they don't know how to do their multiplication, they also cannot remember the procedure on how to do the long division. Okay. Then a strategic competence, that is to formulate, represent, and solve math problem. That means once they are given a math problem, they must be able to think in their mind or in their head how to solve this question, whether to use add, minus, times, or subtract. Okay, adaptive reasoning, which is the capacity of logical thoughts, reflection, explanation, and justification of the problem, and also to check the reasonableness of the answers. Okay. Then productive disposition, that is the habitual inclination to see maths as sensible. Okay. So for me, I think this part is very important because a lot of students, they cannot understand why they have to study maths. Okay, they always think that maths is something that is very boring, very difficult. Okay. So as parents, what you can do is you help them to see how maths can be useful in everyday life. Okay, like for example, counting of monies, okay, and things like that. Okay, and also I think for some students, okay, they have a belief that maybe they are not a maths people. Okay, they will think that they are not talented in maths. Okay, so actually maths can be learned through diligence. Okay, it has nothing to do with whether you are a maths people or you are not a maths people. As long as you are willing to work hard, you can do well in maths. Okay, so for here, same thing on the productive disposition. Okay, that is cultivating your mindset. That means you have to let your child to try to move them from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. Okay, and also try to build a positive environment for them. That means whenever they done some maths questions correctly, try to praise and encourage them. Okay, don't discourage them and say it's wrong and then ask them to do again and again, doing the same thing again. Okay, then overcome maths anxiety. Okay, making sense of maths and also performance versus effort. Okay, that is to value performance rather than effort. So value effort rather than performance. That means as long as your child try hard, no matter the question they got it correct or wrong, it doesn't matter. As long as your child is willing to try. Okay. Okay, yeah, this is one example. Like for example, if you go to a supermarket, you can always ask your child that both of these items they cost $7.20 each, which will be more economical. Okay, whether is it to buy 1.5 liters of with 12 bottles or 600 milliliters with of 24 bottles. Then you can get your child to calculate for you of which one will have more volume of water. Okay, yeah. Next thing is the mindset. Okay, mindset. So like I said just now, try to move your child from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. Okay, so that they can grow and learn in their maths. And okay, this part here, this is actually the 16 habits of mind, okay, in which is relating to more of a problem solving and life related skills. Okay, which I think some of them are quite useful for solving maths problem. Okay, like for example, persistent. Okay, then let's see what else. Yeah, actually most of them are very useful for maths. Thinking flexibility also, because some maths problem, there's not only one way to solve it. You can solve them in different ways also. Okay. and maybe for striving for accuracy. This is also very important for maths, where the answers that you have, it has to be accurate. Okay, that's why checking is very important. Okay, and so on and so forth. Okay, yeah. So is there any questions? If not, I think I'm more or less finished the presentation. Okay, if you have any question, just type in your chat. Okay. Yeah. So if let's say you have no questions, then I think I will end the briefing here. Okay.